I'm Angela Daniels, and I'm the Guilty Crafter.
I'm Angela Daniels, and I'm driven by guilt. I feel guilty when I'm not crafting. I feel guilty when I am crafting. I feel guilty when I buy stuff for crafting, and I feel guilty when I don't use what I buy. That's why I'm the Guilty Crafter.
Today we're making a craft for those of you who are joining us from Camp What a Wonder, and I have my favorite happy camper. This is my little girl Tabitha. And we've decided to make something you can probably make with supplies you already have at your campsite, and we're going to make dream catchers. So here's what you're going to need. If you can save any of the snack or food containers that you're using while you're camping, that would be great. So here's a big container of oats, because we like to make oatmeal when we're camping, so we have that empty. I also brought a little snack-sized container of chips. What we're looking for is any top that has a nice circular base at the top, and plastic's great too, because we're going to be able to cut into this to make our dream catcher, right? And then you should always camp with an emergency craft supply, because why? Why?
Because it always entertains.
Exactly, we want to be entertained while we're camping. So if there's some times where you're not in the water or you're not running around hunting for things at your campsite, it's nice to have some crafts to keep you entertained. So I brought some things that we bring when we're camping. Yarn is always great, so you could do a little, what do you do? A little crochet or a little knitting. So I have Tabitha's favorite yarn. I have some embroidery floss here in case we want to make our dream catcher with embroidery floss. And a pair of scissors, and really that's about all you need. You can probably make a dream catcher with anything you find around the campsite. You can use soft twigs, you can use fibers from different trees to weave everything together, and you can get your inspiration from spiders. So dream catchers look a little bit like spider webs. But we need to make a decision, so we are going to make two different kinds of dream catchers, and Tabitha, I'm going to let you make a choice. Do you want to make a big dream catcher, or do you want to make a small dream catcher today?
I want to do the small.
You want to do the small one? Okay, I'll do the big one, you do the small one.
Can I have the chips first?
I knew that was coming. Okay, you have the chips, and then we'll get to work on our craft table.
Okay, with both of these circular tops that we got from our oat box and our snack container, I'm just using an X-Acto blade to cut a little bit of an X into the top of this container. Now you could have just come right in with your scissors, so you don't have to have a blade available, but this is something that you need to have your parents help you with, because you want to make sure you're not cutting yourself. But what I'm trying to do is cut a circle out of this snack container and leave the whole outside edge, and that's going to be the circle that I weave all of the pretty yarn around to make my dream catcher. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the fun thing about crafting. So same thing with my oatmeal box. So if I wanted to make it a little bit easier on myself, same thing, I'm just going to cut an X here. And then I'm going to go through and cut all the way around, leaving the outside edge of my oat box. So I have my small dream catcher and my large one. And really all I needed was my scissors. So now that I have the insides cut out of our snack container tops, we want to cover up all this plastic so you don't even know that we used a snack container to get this. So the way we're going to cover it up today is use this pretty rainbow yarn of Tabitha's, and you're going to do this very simply by taking a little really long piece of yarn or any other kind of string you have. So it can be embroidery floss or twine or anything that would be soft and flexible, and you're just going to wrap very, very, very tightly all the way around this container until you can't see that it's an oatmeal box anymore. The only thing that you want to remember to do while you're wrapping is right where you start. This will be the top, so I want to leave about 1 inch to 2 inches up at the top, because I want a good place to tie a knot up here when I'm done, so I have a place to hang our dream catcher. But this is a great spot for you to jump in, Tabby, so I'm going to let you get started on your smaller chip container with your yarn. Okay, here you can see that Tabitha and I have both used the rainbow yarn to twist around the top of our snack containers, so we have a really nice finished edge, and you can't even tell what we started at, which is the great thing about recycling things when you're crafting. Now we want to get that spider web effect that dream catchers have in the middle of the circle, and so Tabitha's chosen this really pretty purple embroidery floss, And the first version of a dream catcher is very easy. We're just going to make a star. So we'll do it with her little one. And I'm just going to do an example one, and then I'll let her come back and do it on her own so she can say that she finished this whole thing by herself. But I'm taking my embroidery floss and I'm tying a knot up at the top here. And I'm just going to treat this like it's a 5-point star and that this is one of the points. So I'm going to, if you can imagine, imaginary star drawn inside of my dream catcher. That's one traditional way that you can make a dream catcher effect. So if the bottom of one of my points, if this is point number 1, I'm going to come down to point number 2, and you just think of it exactly the same way that you would draw a star, but I'm just drawing it with embroidery floss. So there's point 1, point 2, and then I'm going to come over here to point 3, and then I'm going to come up here to point 4. I'm going to wrap my embroidery floss around point 4, and then I'm going to come down to point 5, and at point 5 I'm going to weave it so that the line coming from point 5 back up to point 1 is a little more dimensional, so I put it on top here, if you can see that. So see how I have a star going here? Now what I noticed when I looked up how to make traditional dream catchers is a lot of times you'll see dream catchers have beads inside. So Tabitha went and chose this cute little pink bead here, and this is representing kind of like the spider on a spider web. So any beads that you have laying around in your craft supplies when you're going camping would be perfect. And then I'm just going to tie everything up at the top here. And you can see that I have a really fun star-shaped dream catcher, and it has that little bead representing a spider in there. And this is really easy. So just imagine 5 points on a star, and then you're good to go. You think you can do that, Tabitha? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to undo it, and I'm going to let you do it yourself. Here's Tabitha's finished dream catcher. It looks fantastic. So she's got really nice dimensional star shape here. She added her bead in. She decided not to use glue because she said spiders like to run up and down spider webs, which I thought was a good explanation. And she's ready to hang this over her bed in her camper or in her tent or even over her bed and catch some of her good dreams. And I'd like to show you what I'm going to do with mine. I'm going to do a more traditional dream catcher version here. And what I've done is take black embroidery floss, but again, any string that you have will work. I'm just showing you black so that you'll have a better visual of what I'm doing. And all I'm going to do is take this embroidery floss and I'm going to loop it, loop it, loop it, loop it, loop it up to the top, and then I'm going to keep coming inside of my circle. So as I loop, I'm going to keep creating more and more and more loops. So there's no tying, there's nothing fancy about this. You don't have to know any special knots or anything like that. It's all about making loops. So here's my first loop. See that there? And I'm actually going to come up here and make one pass around, and I'm going to come over here and make another loop. The closer together your loops are, the more intricate your dream catcher design will be on the inside, but just be a creative spider. Make whatever design that you want inside, and chances are it's going to be really beautiful and unique, just like a spider's web. But I'm almost to the end here. So now what do? I'm up at the top. I'm not going to go back around the rainbow anymore. So I've already created those loops around my frame. So now I'm going to start using the loops that I created the first pass around, and now I'm going to take my second time around the circle, and I'm looping right into the first set of loops I've made. So again, not working off the rainbow structure anymore. Let me make sure I get this all nice so it doesn't get tangled. Now see how I'm starting to get a weaving pattern here? Look at how cool that is. And with each pass through my dream catcher, I'm going to tighten up this web a little bit more. . 'Cause I'm done. So after all my looping and pulling my embroidery floss taut at different angles, I have my very own unique pattern. So if I missed a loop or I skip something or the thread starts to separate in some places, that's perfect because this gives me my very own unique handmade Dreamcatcher. Nobody's will be just like mine because this is made for my dreams.
Hey everybody at Camp Water Wonder, that's our wonder craft for the day. I think it took us about how long?
45 minutes.
About 45 minutes because we had a couple tangles we had to take out. So be careful with that long string and keep it tight while you're weaving it through, and that'll save you time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look at how fun. So where are you putting yours, Tab?
In my room.
In your room? I might hang this in our camper so we can catch dreams while we're camping. So whether you're camping at home or you're camping in the great outdoors, always bring craft supplies and use what you have. You can even use this bucket to store your craft supplies in when you're done. So that's it for us. No guilt on this episode. See you next time.